Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over the newest Fortnite update, v7.30. What we've seen recently is that Epic has started to make their weekly updates a lot more impactful than they've been in the past. The majority of weekly updates used to be adding one new weapon or item, and then maybe throwing in a few small bug fixes or mostly meaningless changes on top of that. And then maybe once every month or so they do a more powerful update that really aimed to shake up the game with vaulted items / weapons, gameplay changes, important bug fixes, all of that good stuff. But it seems that ever since Epic returned from their Christmas / New Year's break, every single update has contained a bunch of really meaningful things. And trust me, update 7.30 is no different. We have some popular weapons being both vaulted and unvaulted, a new editing feature being tested which could totally change Fortnite, an important change to aim assist, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start this video off by discussing what in my opinion is the most interesting part of this update, the major change to editing which is currently scheduled to be tested in pop-up cups. Here's a description directly from the patch notes which sums it up really well. New tournament added, Architect Pop-Up Cup, Solo, Duo, and Squads. Within this mode, player-built structures can now be edited by any player regardless of team status. This is an experiment that we'd like to try out in this testing environment, but aren't quite sure of the full impact. We'd love to hear feedback from your experiences playing with this change. So in Epic's own words, being able to edit any player-built structure is an idea that they're currently experimenting with. And I really don't think it can be underestimated just how much of an impact this seemingly minor change would have on the game as a whole. This would probably be the biggest nerf to defensive building / turtling in Fortnite history. Imagine for a second you're in a 1v3 scenario and at the very beginning of the fight you get hit for a solid amount of damage. So you do the smart thing and box up in a 1x1 to quickly heal. In current Fortnite, you'd be relatively safe in this situation. Even if the enemies begin to push you, you can just keep replacing your walls and probably buy yourself enough time to eventually escape. If enemies could edit your walls, boxing up in a 1x1 in that situation would be practically useless. Imagine a smart coordinated team that counts down 3, 2, 1, go, and then all three of them edit and run through a different wall of your 1x1 at the exact same time. I personally really dislike that potential impact a lot. Along with that, certain skillful building techniques like boxing and trapping a player will no longer work if they can just edit out of your walls. I think that defensive building, turtling, and breaking and replacing walls are all really important skills in Fortnite that ultimately contribute to the game having a larger skill gap. And because of all that, I personally think that this would be a negative change and it's simply not something that Fortnite needs. However, I am willing to give it a chance. I like that Epic didn't just say, screw it, add this to regular Battle Royale and we'll hope for the best, kinda like we saw with some other infamous changes in the past. Testing this in a pop-up cup is 100% the way to go. And even though I would say the majority of pro players are against this potential change, there are some pros like Zexro and Myth that think this is exactly what Fortnite needs. They believe it would increase the skill gap of editing in general and cut down on a lot of the chaotic endgame turtling that you see at the highest competitive level. The truth is, without seeing this in action, I don't think anybody can know with 100% certainty all of the effects that this major change to editing would have on the game as a whole. So I really look forward to seeing it in action during the Architect Pop-Up Cup. Another quick note about editing in this patch is, if you guys remember update 7.20 from 2 weeks ago, it contained some really awesome improvements made to editing. It made editing a client-side feature, which basically means that editing a structure will now begin without waiting for a response from the server, and that's something that's a huge help to high-ping players. Those editing improvements were actually removed from the game about 48 hours after patch 7.20 due to it causing some pretty major glitches in the game. And they were finally added back into the game, hopefully once and for all in 7.30. So just wanted to clear that up because I know it was kinda confusing for some people. Now that we've covered all things editing, let's discuss all the weapons / items that were added and removed in 7.30. We had a total of 4 vaulted weapons, 1 unvaulted weapon, and 1 brand new item added into the game. Starting off the vaulted section, we have the bolt action sniper rifle. A lot of people are actually really upset about this, and I kinda understand why. This was really the OG sniper rifle of Fortnite, and I kind of felt that even now, it was probably the most balanced sniper in the entire game. It definitely wasn't as good as the heavy, but I think most people preferred it over the hunting rifle and the silent sniper rifle. But I think this might have been a result of Epic seeing players not really using the silent sniper, which is an item they just added, so they're gonna try to eliminate some of its main competition and basically try to force people into using it. The next vaulted item on our list are the purple and gold burst rifles, more commonly known as the FAMASes. This is another vault that I'm not necessarily angry about, but much like with the bolt, I don't really see the point of it. I was 100% in favor of vaulting the regular white, green, and blue burst rifles because they were honestly pretty underpowered. And maybe even more importantly, they were also incredibly common, so they were having a very negative impact on the weapon pool as a whole. That's not really the case with the FAMASes though, at least in my opinion. They were purple and gold rarity, so they were already super rare, so it's not like they were taking up a lot of loot spawns, and also they were at least a somewhat decent AR option. Although people who prefer burst weapons in Fortnite are definitely in the minority, those people do exist, and it kinda stinks for them that all 5 burst ARs are now totally gone from the game. I mean, if Epic really wanted to vault a high rarity AR for whatever reason, I don't think anybody would have been opposed to, say, the thermal scoped AR, just saying. Next item on the list was, to me, an incredibly surprising vault, and that is the heavy shotgun. In a few days, I'm actually going to be making a full video discussing the current state of shotguns in Fortnite, so I don't want to go too in depth in this video. But the heavy shotgun being vaulted just doesn't really make any sense. There are now only 2 shotguns available in Fortnite, the TAC and the pump, and I don't think anybody is taking any TAC over any pump at this point. It just doesn't make sense that Epic would vault the only competition that the pump shotgun had. Now, the optimist in me is thinking that maybe the heavy being removed is a sign of a new shotgun being added into the game shortly or some other kind of rebalancing, but if not, I just don't understand what Epic was thinking here. And finally, we had a bit of a switch in terms of SMGs, with the gray, green, and blue regular SMGs being vaulted, and the gray, green, and blue silenced SMGs being unvaulted. I think that most people prefer the silenced SMGs to the regular SMGs, so this will probably make the majority of you guys happy. And I'm generally in favor of things like this that keep the game fresh and create a little more weapon diversity. I just hope we don't go back to the times where players were using the silenced SMG as their AR. And finally, the new item added into the game in update 7.30 is the chiller grenade. It's gray rarity, drops in stacks of 3, has a max stack of 6, and it causes allies, enemies, and vehicles hit with a chiller grenade to slip around with icy feet / wheels for a duration of 7 seconds. Although the updates as a whole over the last month or so have been really impactful, the weapons / items that were added in those updates certainly have not been, and the chiller grenade is really no different. I guess it can be fun, and the good news is you can't get them from chests, but not a game-changing item in any way whatsoever. And the final thing I want to quickly cover about 7.30 are 2 to 3 other various positive changes included in the update. First off, for us controller players, aim assist now targets enemies on vehicles rather than the base of the vehicle they're occupying. This has been an issue for a while now, and I even specifically mentioned it in my last video where I talked all about aim assist, so I'm really happy to see Epic finally addressed it here. And this update also increased the amount of materials gained from looting chests and floor loot from 20 to 30, and also increased the amount of materials received from supply drops from 40 to 60. It's funny because up until Season 5, it had always been a stack of 30 materials from chests and floor loot, but for some reason they randomly decided to nerf it to 20. So I guess it's all even in the end now that they randomly decided to bring it back up to 30, and I think this is something we can all be happy about. On top of that, there are just a ton of other various bug fixes in here which should hopefully clean the game up a bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down the comment section below. I want to know your thoughts on Fortnite Update 7.30. What do you think about the controversial test being done to editing? Are you happy or upset certain weapons got either vaulted or unvaulted? Let me know. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.